Hello guys, welcome to the clinical scenarios and this is your case number 1. Now this case says that a 28-year kindergarten teacher complains of gritty sensation and discharge from the right eye 3 days. Now she also has the rhinorrhea, mild sore throat, low grade fever. The symptoms began a week after the classes started in the fall. So basically they are telling you that which weather it is after the classes started. So when does the classes start? It is near your the summer months, like it can be in the April or nowadays they are starting the classes in April and they teach for a month and then they give you the summer vacations. Okay, so it is actually the hot climate. Her past medical history is significant for the genital herpes and endometriosis. Eye examination shows mild injection and granular appearance of the tarsal conjunctiva of the right eye with the profuse watery discharge. Now, if on examination nasal mucosa is normal, pharynx shows mild erythema but without exudates. So, this is important that it is without exudates. Which of the following is the most appropriate next step in the management of this patient? Now, because I was discussing this case for you, so I have gone through the whole question, but when you get such kind of a questions in exam, what I always tell you that go with the last line first, read the last line of the question first and then go for the whole question. So your first attempt was that what they are trying to ask, which of the following is the most appropriate next step in the management of this patient. So basically they are asking you what should be the next step. Now this is again important, they are asking you the next step in the management of this patient. They are not asking you the best thing what you can do. There is a whole lot of difference between the next step. Either you see in the cases of investigations also, what should be the next investigation, what should be the investigation of choice and what is the gold standard. So there is a difference and usually examiners play with these words. So if you are not very thorough about these words, you can land up in doing mistakes. Okay, so they are asking you the next step in the management of this patient. So you have to now read the story in terms of getting the probable diagnosis, and according to that probable diagnosis, what should be your next step along with it. So if you go through the question again now, she is a 28-year teacher, kindergarten teacher. So she is exposed to the outside pollens or allergens or the weather conditions, and she starts having the gritty sensation and discharge. So basically she is having the gritty sensation and discharge. So I can say that she is actually having some kind of conjunctivitis. I hope this is very clear up to now, that she is having a gritty sensation, she is having a discharge from the right eye. So she is most probably having some kind of conjunctivitis. Now let us see what kind of conjunctivitis. The patient is having rhinorrhea, she is having sore throat, she is having low grade fever. So basically you can say that she is having a low grade viral fever, which is very common in these kind of weather conditions, a hot and humid climate. She is having a common cold, sore throat, maybe pharyngitis, and she is having the low grade fever. Now that reminds me, see, if you look at the complaints here, she is having common cold, she is having pharyngitis and fever. That reminds me of a very important thing, what is called as the pharyngoconjunctival fever. Pharyngoconjunctival fever. I hope you must have heard about this. Pharyngoconjunctival fever. Pharyngo, may we have the pharyngitis and this patient will present with the sore throat. Conjunctival, we have got the conjunctivitis. Okay, and then we have fever. Okay, and what is organism responsible for this? The organism which is responsible for this pharyngoconjunctival fever is actually the adenovirus. It is the adenovirus. Okay, and adenovirus is very known for causing your acute follicular conjunctivitis. It is very known for causing acute follicular conjunctivitis, and these follicles will be present where? They will be present in the tarsal conjunctiva. They are present in the tarsal conjunctiva. Now, this acute follicular conjunctivitis, which is caused by adenovirus, can be of two types. It can be epidemic keratoconjunctivitis, and then it can be your pharyngoconjunctival fever. So, with this background, now let us try to see the question again. Now, they are saying that she is having the rhinorrhea, sore throat and low-grade fever. Symptoms began a week after the classes started. So, it is a acute illness. That means this is a acute illness started just a week ago, and her past medical history is significant for genital herpes and endometriosis. Now, what kind of clue you are going to get from this, that she has a past history of genital herpes? So, basically it shows her immune status. Because she already has suffered from herpes, you know. So, there is a tendency toward the viral infections. She is having the endometriosis. So, you can say that she is actually predisposed towards the viral infections. Now, if you look at the examination, she is having the mild injection. So, there is not acute red eye kind of a thing, and you have the granular appearance of the tarsal conjunctiva. And granular appearance, if you are looking at the tarsal conjunctiva, so it can be either the follicles or it can be what you call as the papillary hyperplasia. It can be either follicles or it can be papillary hyperplasia, and that can lead to the granular appearance of the tarsal conjunctiva. Now, if you look at the examination, the nasal mucosa, they are saying nasal mucosa is normal, and pharynx is showing just the mild erythema, okay, without exudates. How this comment is actually important, how it is significant? That means that there is actually no secondary bacterial infection. So, this actually shows that there is no secondary bacterial infection. So, if you are thinking in terms of the bacterial infection, they are saying that there is no exudates. So, till now there is no evidence of the secondary bacterial infection. And one more thing which is going with it is that she is having profuse watery discharge. So, usually watery discharge we get again in the viral conjunctivitis. Watery discharge again means the viral conjunctivitis. So, what happens in these kind of questions, in the clinical scenarios, actually you have to put together so many knowledge and pieces of information that you know. Now it has to be hold together. And now they are saying that which of the following is the next step in the management of this patient. So, now I have a clue that this patient is having some kind of viral conjunctivitis which is leading to the granular appearance of the tarsal conjunctiva. Till now we do not have any evidence of the secondary bacterial infection. She has a weak immune system, and somehow it is related to the exposure to the outer world when she has started the classes. Okay, now let's look at the options. They are saying one is the cool moist compresses. So this is I think just a symptomatic treatment. Okay, let's see first whole of the 4 options which they have given. First, they have given just the symptomatic treatment, moist and cool compresses. Second, erythromycin ointment. Now erythromycin, you know, it's an antibiotic. So antibiotic treatment, they are asking you whether we should give symptomatic treatment, antibiotic. Olopatadine is your combined, it is a combined antihistaminic plus a mast cell stabilizer. It is a combined one. And the fourth is the oral valcyclovir, which is a antiviral. Okay. So now let us see the options one by one. Now we are suspecting that this is actually a viral conjunctivitis, and most probably it is a adenoviral conjunctivitis which has led to the watery discharge. Okay, it has led to the watery discharge also, and it has led to the granular appearance of the tarsal conjunctiva. It has also led to what you called as the foreign body sensations. Okay, there is also foreign body sensation. All these things are there, and along with this patient is also having your pharyngoconjunctival fever. So most probably this patient is having the adenovirus kind of conjunctivitis. So if you look at the option number D, now do you think that oral valcyclovir is a right option at this point of time when she is having just a mild watery discharge, some granular appearance and foreign body sensation? Then answer is no, oral valcyclovir. So we are not giving the oral valcyclovir at this. See, oral antivirals, they are given in the severe cases, especially like when there is a herpes zoster ophthalmicus. So in the herpes zoster ophthalmicus, you know, 50% patients have the ocular complications. 50% of the patients have the ocular complications, and we know it's a severe disease. There we have lot of systemic involvement also. Like herpes zoster ophthalmicus is one viral infection which is very, very severe. You know, first it starts with the general features, then comes your cutaneous features, and in the last we tend to get the ocular features, right. So in those cases where the patient is suffering from the complications of herpes zoster ophthalmicus, there we give both the topical as well as the oral valcyclovir. So it is not a good option at this point of time when the patient is actually having adenovirus, watery discharge, granular appearance of tarsal conjunctiva, just the gritty sensations and discharge, and when we don't have any exudates also. Now come to the option number C, olopatadine. Now olopatadine, if I talk about olopatadine, olopatadine is considered to be the drug of choice in the VKC. It is again an important question. What is the drug of choice in vernal keratoconjunctivitis? So when it is believed that this patient is actually having the spring catarrh, when the patient is having the spring catarrh, earlier it was believed that this kind of disease is more common in the spring, because you know lot of pollens are there in that environment. So that's why it was named as a spring catarrh. V for vernal. Vernal also means the spring season. Vernal kerato and conjunctivitis involving both the cornea as well as conjunctiva. But now it is believed that it is actually the hot and humid climate in which it is more common. So if it was a case of the allergic conjunctivitis, you know, VKC is the most common allergic conjunctivitis. So if it was a case of allergic conjunctivitis, then we would have given this olopatadine, but actually it is not. Okay, what are the more common signs and symptoms by which we could have discovered that this is a VKC? That was more common between 4 to 20 years of age, that was more common in male. Along with this, you could have got the ropey discharge or the stingy discharge. Ropey discharge or the stingy discharge, but they are saying that it is just a watery discharge. Here the age of the patient is 28 years and they are having a watery discharge. Plus in cases of VKC, you get a very typical appearance called as the cobblestone papillae. You get a very typical appearance. This is called as the cobblestone papillae. Then you get the Horner Trenta spots. Horner Trenta spots. Now what are these? In the cobblestone papillae, when you see the upper eyelid, you get very typical polygonal raised areas, hexagonal or the pentagonal kind of areas. This is called as the cobblestone papillae, very typical. And if you look at the cornea, okay, so what happens in the limbal area, we get grayish white spots here. These are called as the Horner Trenta spots, and basically they are the collections of the eosinophils. Then we also get triangular dusky red congestion, very lighter congestion is there. So that means this is not a case of allergic conjunctivitis, and therefore answer is not the olopatadine. Okay, so we have already ruled out the two options, oral valcyclovir and olopatadine eye drop. Now coming to the option number B. Now they are saying erythromycin. Now erythromycin is an antibiotic ointment, and you know, antibiotic, if you consider erythromycin, okay. Now they could have been given if it was a case of the bacterial conjunctivitis, okay, or even we could have given in the trachoma, okay, or in the trachoma. Now we know that it is not a bacterial conjunctivitis because you know we are having the watery discharge which is against the bacterial conjunctivitis, then we do not have any exudates. So these two things are directly going against. If you look at the question again and again, they are trying to tell you that there is no bacterial infection. See, they are saying just a low grade fever. So if you have a bacterial infection, there are chances of more and more fever. Plus they are having just the mild injection. In cases of bacterial conjunctivitis, it is the acute red eye that you are going to get. Then you are getting the granular appearance of the tarsal conjunctiva of the eye that you are not getting in cases of bacterial conjunctivitis. They have said that it's a watery discharge. Again, it is going against the diagnosis of the bacterial conjunctivitis and without the exudate. So there, I mean, there is no point in thinking that it's a bacterial conjunctivitis. Okay, so that means it's not a bacterial conjunctivitis and you should not think in direction of that. Now what about the trachoma? Now there is one thing which actually can put you in a dilemma, that can it be trachoma, because they are saying that this patient is having the granular appearance of the tarsal conjunctiva, granular appearance of your tarsal conjunctiva. But again in the trachoma, you are not only having just the granular appearance, there are certain things which you require for the diagnosis of trachoma. You require the sago grain follicles. Sago grain follicles, you require the papillary hyperplasia. Okay, then what else do we require? When there is lot of inflammation, we usually have the scarring also. That can lead to the Art's line, right? Then we have concretions. Even if you look at the cornea, we have got the Herbert follicles. Herbert follicles and the Herbert pits, they are very important. H for Herbert. We have got Herbert follicles and the Herbert pits. Then you have very important called as the pannus. That is very typical. What is that? In the pannus, what you are going to get, suppose this is your eyeball like this. So you are going to get the vascularization coming over the cornea. So when we have got the vascularization, we have got infiltration also. Vascularization plus we have infiltration. So when we have these things, then we actually think of the pannus, and this pannus can lead to the corneal ulcer. This corneal ulcer on healing can lead to the corneal opacity also. So corneal ulcer is therefore considered to be the complication of the trachoma. So this is not a case of trachoma. Moreover, trachoma is more common in the either in the children in the cases of ophthalmia neonatorum, and otherwise it is common in the elderly people. There is one more thing, that when we have trachoma, usually we do not have symptoms in the beginning. We usually have the signs, and symptoms actually comes due to the secondary bacterial infection. Due to the secondary bacterial infection, and we have actually no evidence of the bacterial infection here. So again we can easily rule out the trachoma here. So that means in this case you have to go for the diagnosis of exclusion, that we have ruled out oral valcyclovir, we have ruled out the olopatadine, and then we also have ruled out this erythromycin eye ointment because there is no evidence of bacterial infection. So what you are left with? So you are left with the cool moist compresses. This is just a symptomatic treatment. Now try to match with it. Yes, because this patient is having just the mild fever, common cold, and sore throat, low grade fever. So if you are giving just a symptomatic treatment, you know, most of the cases this adenovirus pharyngoconjunctival fever, low grade viral fever, this will limit itself in about 5 to 7 days, and till that time we can give the symptomatic treatment, that is the cool and moist compresses. So this is how you have got the most appropriate answer of next step. Actually what happens when you have these kind of questions, there is no right answer. The right answer has to be reached by excluding the wrong one. So you cannot actually predict this answer. You have to go through the question again and again and try to understand what are the catch points the examiner is trying to give you, and if you are applying your rationales step by step, ruling out the options, you will be able to reach to the right option. So in this way the answer of your clinical scenarios case number 1 is option number A, that is cool and moist compresses. I think you must have benefited from this session, and if you keep on doing these cases with me daily, I can definitely tell you that you will definitely will have an edge in the exam, because your mind has actually started working in the direction of getting your clinical scenarios. So that will not be an entirely new thing for you in the exam. So keep on studying, keep on posting your questions and doubts. I really feel motivated teaching you more and learning ophthalmology even more and more along with you people when you ask me your doubts and all. And work hard. Happy ophthalmology. Thank you.